Hello and welcome to Module 7, Introduction to Sourcing. So far we looked at the basics of an e-commerce system, how to sell products in your country and also overseas, how to find products to sell, and by now you should be in a position to start appreciating the ability of the e-commerce cash system to generate some good income for you. The most important thing with any business is to generate sales. Once you can do that, you have a real business. Now we get to the other side of the business, which is the sourcing side. If you recall in the beginning, I mentioned my mission statement, which was to have an outstanding sourcing operation, exceed Amazon and eBay's performance parameters, and meet financial targets. The reason I put the word outstanding before sourcing operation is because that's exactly what's required in order to be successful in this business. I have 2 full-time employees in the Far East who source products for me, as well as a network of freelance agents. In addition, I offer sourcing services myself, and that is an offer which you will be shown at the end of the program, or you can email me at dan@ecommercecashsystem.com for more information. So let's look at the basics. The first source of suppliers is Alibaba.com. This is really, excuse me, let me just go on to it. This is an amazing marketplace with a huge array of manufacturers. However, its strength is also its weakness because everyone knows about it. Whereas what you want is a competitive advantage. Also, I noticed that there are a number of agents on there who pretty much monopolize Alibaba, and they always come up first in the search results. I don't quite know how they do it, but certainly it precludes getting the best deals because these companies at the top seem to skew the results and even preclude us from getting to the best deals. What you'll also find with any exchange is that once there is a query inside the system, many middlemen will take the offer to a number of other factories and they'll add their own margins on top. Now, I have to say, in some cases, there's a distinct advantage to working through an agent instead of with a factory direct. The smaller order quantities, they may be English speaking, and generally they may offer better service because service levels in the Far East can be not what you're expecting from Western outlets. And going back to agents, they can have the uses and they're very common in the Far East, especially in China. However, be aware that you'll get lots of middlemen in these exchanges. The other thing to be aware of with Alibaba, and that holds true to any importing venture, is that you need to be very careful of fraud. Alibaba has a gold certified system, which is on the whole efficient, but suppliers pay to receive this status, and there are problems. They can range from just disappearing with the money, which, to be honest, would be unlikely with a gold supplier, or it could just be sub-quality goods, which frankly is almost impossible to sort out, and so you need to be careful with this. Again, our sourcing service ensures that an inspection is done before paying the money to the manufacturer. Alibaba has an interesting feature called Alipay, which is an escrow system. I.e., you pay the money into an Alibaba account and the funds are released once you're happy for them to be released. The problem is that it's expensive. It's about 5% of the transaction cost, and many suppliers just don't like it. It's a bit like PayPal, which is a great solution to fraud. However, it's expensive with a high commission, and the exchange rates are bad for both buyer and seller. So many countries in the Far East don't accept it, and even when they do, like in China, a lot of manufacturers just don't accept it. Another place to look is global sources. It's a bit more out of the way and less competitive, but then the choice isn't as large as Alibaba. Another location is Made in China. Now, they timed out for some reason, so I'm going to try them again now. I don't know if there's a problem with the site. Oh no, here we go. So that's Made in China. Again, it's less competitive, but there's also less choice to choose from in here. And finally, I wanted to talk about Taobao, which we mentioned in the context of listing. It's an Alibaba-owned e-commerce website, mainly for retail, but you can also find some really good deals for the wholesale. As you can see, it's all Chinese, but there are sourcing services who specialize in Taobao. They charge a few percent, but it's well worth the money. If you Google Taobao sourcing, you'll see a lot of these agents pop up. Agents are also a good way to source some products. I'm just going to recap on some of these sources. So Alibaba Global Sources, Made in China, Taobao, and agents. They're a good way to source products as they have strong local knowledge and relationship with factories. A couple of tips: try not to pay the agent but the factory directly. And despite any rapport you may have with an agent, always insist on inspecting the goods. Between these 5 sources, you should be able to start sourcing some reasonable deals, and I look forward to seeing you on the next module where we will be discussing sourcing products from your own country.